And welcome to Theater Talk Boston. We're so pleased to be joined with Aaron Patterson and Dwayne P. Mitchell, who are currently starring in Choir Boy with SpeakEasy Stage Company here in Boston. Hi guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So Choir Boy was written back in 2012, but it got a huge Broadway production this year, which is why I think a lot of people are talking about it and knowing about it, obviously starring Jeremy Pope, who got the Tony nom. For those who aren't familiar, can you tell us what the show's about?
Oh, definitely. Okay, so hi, my name is Aaron. Very pleased to be here. So Choir Boy, at face value, is a simple play about a couple black children going to a prep school and trying to figure out what it means to be a black man in America specifically. But it also deals with the plight of the lead, Ferris Jonathan Young, who is dealing not only with figuring out how to be a black man, but how to be queer and be a black man, and how society, especially black society, views that and deals with it in their own way, and how to be accepted by that community as well. I think the story's pretty beautiful in that case, and I don't know, Dwayne, do you want to talk a little bit about that too?
Hi, this is Dwayne. I play David. Thank you for having us again. But yes, definitely piggybacking off of what Aaron said, I think also it's very interesting to see how the story is set in an atmosphere of religion. Because in the African American community, when you're dealing with, what it is to be a man in general, the head of the household, especially when you're dealing in biblical terms, but also, what it means to figure out that identity, like Aaron was saying about being queer and living that life and trying to portray, what it is to, figuring out what it is to be a man, but a black man at that. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely follows. One thing that I also appreciate about the show is that each character in the show has an individual story, and I like how we all have individual kind of journeys that we overcome or that we're trying to figure out, but also we collectively try to figure out who we are, together as men of Drew. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
And going off that, Aaron, could you tell us a little bit about Junior, your character, who you play?
Junior. Dear Junior. I love Junior so much. So when I first read the play, I was very worked up toward the end with Junior's discovery of some things, and I won't give anything away. But Junior is kind of like the source of light energy for the show, because as we all know, it can get pretty dark, and it does every night. It gets to a very dramatic place, but Junior seems like a source of light throughout the play, and we follow him. He's a goofball and very loving and caring, especially towards Bobby, who we all know is going through a lot, and so he kind of coddles him in that respect, and gives him space and opportunity to be and to heal. And I think Junior represents a lot of things as well in the show. He's not just, a clown, but he represents the love that we should have for each other, and the having each other's back and support. And, Junior has a lot of personal things going on, and that the play doesn't really say, but I have to come up with as the actor. And a lot of the things that my Junior has seen in life lend him the ability and the strength to take on what other people have. I think of Junior as a healer. I think of him as someone who doesn't get to say much, but observes very, very well and takes that in and really knows how to subvert energy. No matter how negative things get, he can always find the positive. Yeah.
Awesome. And of course, you play David. Yeah. So who's David?
So, yes, definitely, like Aaron said, we definitely, one thing that I appreciate, I keep saying that, but I appreciate so much about this process because we had to dig deep into who these characters are. and it's really important to, and we learned this, in school, in acting class. It's really important not to judge the characters, right off the bat, but finding that truth. And that's one of the things that I had to do with David, especially with all of the changes that happened from the original script to the Broadway script. There were some things that were added, some things that were taken away. And so it's like figuring out how to not only tell the truth of David, but to portray him in a way that Terrell sees him when he created this character. And I think that David, like Aaron said, he doesn't speak a lot. David doesn't speak a lot, but that does not mean that he's not present in what's happening. I think he's dealing with, like every other man of Drew. He's dealing with his own situation at home, trying to figure out, a couple of things that he's, toiling with himself, but also trying to establish how can I be a leader. He wants to be a pastor, but also figure out how to live my personal truth. And that's something that all of the boys have to deal with. So, without giving anything away, I think David, he's a pretty complicated person, but at the truth of the matter, every individual in this production wants to, is learning, not only learning themselves, but learning from each other, learning from Headmaster, learning from Mr. Pendleton. And so I really appreciate this journey and taking the ride with David throughout the process. Yeah.
That's awesome. Were you both familiar with the play? Had you seen it before, or is this your first experience with it? And also, what made you want to audition for this production?
Okay, I'll work backwards. What made me want to be a part of this production and why I even auditioned was I had seen all of the publicity about the show. I saw, way back when it was, sprinkles of the show on YouTube, I saw the little YouTube clips and I was like, what is this little church play? It seems really cute. But then it blew up and I was like, oh my God, this is like, I saw all the things and I read up about it. I never read the play, but I was like, okay, I go to Boston Conservatory at Berkeley, and yes, we will. And I will never get a chance to play this play at my school. I gotta do this. It's in the city, so I have no excuse not to audition. I didn't even get to audition for Maurice, who was the director. I was going home. This was right when summer break began, and so my flight was already booked. I was headed to Atlanta to get out of Boston for a bit, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss this audition. So I emailed Paul, who is the producer of the play, and I was like, I am going to be out of town. Can I just come in for you guys? And he was like, well, the director won't be in until next week, but you can come in and show us what you got. And then I auditioned for Paul, and he was like, just send in a video. And I was like, oh, well, that's it. All these people are gonna come in and have live auditions and they're going to be better than me and they're going to get it. And I was very upset. I was like, you know what? It's okay. I'll go see it. And then I was, through callbacks, sending in videos, and I was still like, oh my God, my friends are at this callback right now, and I'm sending in a video. And so it was a whole big thing for me, but it was really relieving to book this, because after I booked it, they sent me the script, and I read it, and I was like, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to be here in this room, no video or live audition. I was going to be here for this and to tell this story. Okay, what was the second question? The one before that.
Were you familiar with it?
Okay, yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, I was a little familiar with the play, but not until I saw all the videos and of course, the Tony performance, which, I watched the Tony performance right after I found out that we booked it, and I was like,
that's right,
I get to do that? And we had a whole Tony party where I was for my last gig, and I was like, oh my God, y'all, I'm about to do that. Yeah. What about you?
Definitely. That was I was not familiar. I was not too familiar with it. Like Aaron, I had heard the buzz about it. Was able to see a couple of things on YouTube, but also I think they had a couple of promotions on social media, and so my biggest. My biggest exposure to the production was the Tony Awards as well. And so watching that, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, anticipating what's going to happen. And then, you know, they did Rock in Jerusalem. And my mind was completely blown because I think this was the day after the cast list came out for SpeakEasy's production of Choir Boy. And I'm like, this is wow. Like, I'm just so grateful. And since that day, I've been living in each moment. I'm just so happy to be here, and I know that, you know, everybody a part of this process, it's like a huge family, a huge team, because we don't just come here to, you know, play and have fun, but we carry the weight of, you know, the characters, and the weight of telling this story. For me, I went to a historically black college, Fisk University, for undergrad. I'm a graduate student right now at the conservatory. So singing with the Fisk Jubilee Singers, I was able to get exposed to Negro spirituals at, you know, roughly an early phase of my collegiate career. And so having that opportunity to reach back into songs that run deep within the African American community has only taken me, you know, that much further into, you know, my development as an actor, as a performer, but in understanding my history again, all over again, and having that opportunity to educate the world about, you know, some of the things that they don't know or maybe aren't exposed to as much. So just to have this opportunity is, you know, it's mind-blowing, and I'm thankful. Yeah.
That's awesome. So a highlight for me and many others of this production is, of course, the insane vocal harmonies you guys are doing and the amazing choreography. Could you talk us through the process of learning that and what it was like in the rehearsal room?
So I will speak on, I'll let Aaron speak on the music. I'll speak on the choreography. So I also have the opportunity to wear the hat as dance captain. So as dance captain, I work closely with both choreographers, Yewande and Ruka. And one of the things that I appreciate about that beginning process is the understanding to tell the story through dance as well. A lot of times when you think about musicals, and it's not even a musical, it's a play with music, but thinking about stories and storytelling in general, how can we allow the music and the dance to be an extension of what the characters are feeling or what the story is needing to be told? And so just having that conversation in the beginning to brainstorm what type of dance do we want to highlight? How do we want to reach back into the rich history and culture of the African American community in step? I know Rainbow Around My Shoulder, some of that choreography, I don't want to give too much away, but it gives tribute to, you know, Alvin Ailey, that style of dance. And so we had a 3-week process to rehearse. It was very short, but it was very important that we all came in with clear minds and a willingness to be pushed. A lot of us don't have background in step or you know, African American style of dance. So just to have that and to be able to build upon that and just see how everybody works and see what works for us as this ensemble, because, you know, the Broadway production was great, but what's going to work for, you know, our specific production. So just highlighting on that, it was really amazing. I think the longest days that we had were on the weekends, but during the week we also put in some long hours, and many of us, you know, being students on top of that. So just to see that process. But yeah, everybody was pretty good about it. All hands in, yeah, learned it quickly. We started running by the second week, so yeah.
God is good. As far as the music, our fearless leader, David, who calls himself the music director. That's what he says. And it's so beautiful. The first day we came in, we didn't even touch the music of the show. We sang a couple songs that are dear to us and private to us, and they help us bring ourselves to the work, and that's kind of our warm-up, but we call it our tap-in, tapping into these characters, tapping into their lives, which aren't far from us, tapping into the readiness to be with each other in rehearsal or on the stage for performance. It's really beautiful. So that aspect really just made it so easy for us to zone in and learn the music. The music is so beautiful. It is like we didn't have to do any work. It's all on the page. And then just like breathing together and singing the songs and saying the words and meaning it, it does all the work. And David, he's just really special to me about how he just crafted the music into us. Yeah, so with our music rehearsals, they went a little like this. We'd learn a song, and then we'd just put our books down because the words were pretty simple. And then we'd sing the song with all the emotions that we had from... I don't think this play, with other plays, we can, take ourselves out of it pretty easily. There are some plays that are far from you, like as an actor and a character, they're far from you, and you can, arrive at that place and then go home. With this one, I invited myself to bring in all of the things I had from the day and just sing the songs to get those things out. And that's kind of what I do in the performances too. So sometimes the most compelling performance is the one where you take it out of context and just give what you have that day. And so that's what a lot of the music rehearsals were. They were church. They weren't us learning some music. It was bigger than that. It was grander, and it reminded us that it's never about us. It's just about what we have to say, what is compelling others. So each music rehearsal was kind of an acting rehearsal, which was kind of a movement rehearsal. It's just, it all came together, and it reminded me of like watching YouTube videos of like ring shouts in the olden days where people would just like pour their souls into the circle. That's what it was. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. So you guys have been open for a little over a week now. How have the Boston audiences been responding to this production?
So this is Dwayne. I'm going to start. All of the audiences actually have been, from my point of view, have been very receptive. And it's so important that we can get this message out because we don't see these stories every day. And so the fact that we have this opportunity, and I'm going to continue to say this every single day, the fact that we have this opportunity, especially in a city like Boston, to be able to tell this story to these audiences, it is compelling. But also to hear the feedback after, curtain, and we get to go out into the lobby and meet these people, just to hear how we have changed lives or sparked interest into people wanting to know more about this history or about these specific stories. It's compelling, and it just reminds me as an actor, as a performer, and just as a human, why it's important to allow everyone on every platform to tell their story, no matter what it is. And that's something that I live by. I remember when I was probably 16 years old, I heard Oprah say, the most powerful thing that you have in this world is to tell your story. And so the fact that we have that ability to do that, not only with, our specific experiences with this show, but the stories of these characters is compelling. I'm so happy to, share this with these audiences.
Yeah. I will say, quick anecdote, our first opening night audience was on 100. I don't know what they must have, I don't know what they were on, but they were on one when they saw the show. They gave us all of their energy, and it was transcendent and really centered. Yeah, we're right there next to them. They're so close to us, and so that propelled us into this run. And not every audience has been like that, but some audiences have been more reflective than others, and there have been some ums and some ohs and some shouts from the audience, which are just as grand as those silent tears that are running down the audience's face. And it's like, I don't know, the theater is a circle, there's the stage, and then there's the audience, and then there's more stage, and then there's more audience. It goes around and around. So their energy is just as important as ours, and we're expelling ours and pouring ours to them, and what we get back, those responses is really important. In a theatrical experience, and that's just the science of it. But this show, it just provokes so much in the audience, so many reactions, all the twists that happen. The audience is like, oh, oh no, and oh my gosh, it's crazy, and I love that. And like Dwayne was saying, it's such a experience to tell the story and to feel it coming back to us. Everything that goes up must come down. Everything that goes out must come back. It's really, they are a part of the story in this play.
First talk back today. So.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like we finally, like, we get a little spill or a little taste of what the audience sees when we go out and talk to them after the show and say thank you for coming. But now today we're going to actually say, what did you feel? Give me questions. What can we, let's have a conversation, because this is such a conversation piece. Last night, but when we were leaving, people were out there saying, we're just trying to digest. We can't go home yet. Like, we have to sit right here before we can move. And like, I am inquisitive of the rest of those people who are going to get to actually speak to us today and give back what we gave them, and just, it's going to be exciting.
That's great. So as you mentioned earlier, you both are students at the Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. Aaron, you're working on your BFA, Dwayne, your MFA. How does going to school and working professionally work in your schedules, and how do you keep it all up?
You want to start?
Okay. Like what you kind of depict, or I'd like to depict, is student by day, actor by night, or performer by night. But that's kind of not how it always works. There's some, in class, if we have a little downtime, I'm going through the script, and like if I'm in an acting class, I'm writing down like, oh my God, Maurice said that in rehearsal, or blah blah blah. And so and then at night when we're in the show, like yesterday, we had 2 shows, and in between I wasn't successful, but I tried to do some homework in between the shows, and so it's like, you're never not a student and you're never not a performer. And I think that goes beyond college, beyond school. I think if we ever think that we have arrived, then we cease to be whatever we thought we were in the first place. I think we have to constantly be learning and constantly be putting things in our little toolbox. And so in the show, when I get to watch these, like, sometimes I get caught up in how good everyone is on stage, and I'm just watching them work, and I'm like, oh, I'm stealing that. Oh, I'm taking a little some of that. Oh, I'm going to use a little bit of that next time, And so it's like constantly learning, constantly having my student and my actor and my performer brains and hats on. It's never not both.
I second that wholeheartedly. I will definitely say that on the outside looking in, it can look very, very stressful. But I personally feel that we have the advantage of being a student and performing professionally at the same time, because we have the opportunity to apply directly what we learn to our field. And so, like Aaron, sometimes I'll be in class, especially during this process of Choir Boy, sometimes I'll be in class and I'm thinking about the development of my character still. And that's one of the things that we learn, at the conservatory. Just because a show opens, doesn't mean that your actor's brain stops and that your character is done developing. There are things that I figured out yesterday, even more to help push further the storytelling of my character. And I'm just like, yo, wow, that's so real. And so I'll be in class, and my professor will say something. I'm just like, you know what? That's David.
Yeah.
That is David. And then I'll come back right after school, and then I apply that note, and then and it helps. It's like a full circle, like Aaron said. So just to have that ability it can be stressful at times, but it's about strategically applying the knowledge that you learn, but also the time management is a huge key point as well. But balancing both, it's beautiful. And I have a lot of fun.
That balancing is like going to the gym and lifting weights. Weights heavier than you're ever going to have to lift in life. And so you walk out of this school, like once we graduate and, have these things on our resumes, and we're going to walk out of here and move to New York, wherever we may end up. And it's going to be easy. At least I hope. I talk to so many graduates of Boston Conservatory, which is probably the hardest program I've ever heard of. I have friends in all other programs. I'm not going to, talk about that, but like it's just we're so engulfed, going from 9 to 7 every day, most days, and it's like building that muscle, and I've heard like graduates in Beetlejuice and A Bronx Tale and Frozen, all of them, they're all saying once you get out, it's gonna be a breeze. And that's a relief because it is hard, and God is good and he's getting us through, but it's so hard. But to know that like it gets easier, I'll lift these weights all day if I know that someday I'm gonna, just have that upper hand. Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on Theater Talk Boston. Everyone, go see Choir Boy. It's now extended through October 19th. Get your tickets at SpeakEasyStage.com, and best of luck with the rest of your run, guys.
Thank you.
Of course.